Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an Infinitrack train deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Izzy. And this deck is an amazing OTK deck that can make some absolutely huge XZ monsters to be able to OTK your opponent with. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. And definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinitrack Harvester. This card is a definite 3 of in the deck and is actually the Stratos for the deck that if it's normal or special summon, you can add an Infinitrack monster from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing effect to be able to use with this card. This card also has a great ability to help you make XZ monsters that let you target one of the machine monsters that you control, and the level of both that monster and this card become the combined original levels of the 2 monsters. So for example, if you target a level 5 machine monster on your side of the field, both this card and that monster will become level 7, helping you make a rank 7 play, which is a great ability for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Infinitrack Anchor Drill. Anchor Drill is really good in this deck as a 3-up, because this card has the ability if it's normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 Earth Machine monster from your hand in defense position, which is just going to extend your plays and get you an additional monster on the field so you can make XZ plays. This card has the exact same effect as your copy of Harvester, that it can target another machine monster on the field, and this card and that monster become the combined level of both of those monsters combined, which is a really cool thing for this card to do because it helps you make rank 9 plays. We then play 3 copies of Brutal Dozer. This card is an amazing card, and all of your level 5 monsters except for Road Roller actually have a common effect that you can treat an Earth Machine monster to special summon this card from your hand in defense position, which is a really cool effect to just instantly get them out on the field. And this card is a great effect that if this card is special summoned from your hand, you can special summon an Infinitrack monster from your deck in defense position, which is going to help you make your rank 5 plays, but its effects are negated, and it locks you into Earth Machine monsters for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal because that's all we're summoning in this deck anyways. We then play 2 copies of Trencher. This card is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card has a great ability. You can banish this card from your graveyard and then target a level 5 or lower Infinitrack monster in your grave and then special summon it back to your side of the field in defense position, which is a really good effect just to extend your plays and get another monster on the field. We then play a single copy of Tunneler. Tunneler is really good as a 1-of in the deck because this card is basically like Pot of Avarice, that you can manage this card from your grave and then target 5 Earth Machine monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 2 cards, which is a great effect to be able to recycle your resources and dig into the deck for more extenders. We then play just a single copy of Crab Crane. Crab Crane is really interesting in this deck because this card can actually search a really powerful field spell, which is actually our copy of Extension, which is a really awesome card to be able to play in this deck because it helps you rank up your monsters by 2 ranks, making this card a definite 1-of in the build. And the only thing you have to do to be able to search out that card is get this card on the field and then banish a machine monster from your graveyard, which we'll already have in the grave because we're going to tribute a monster to summon out this card to the field, which is a really cool thing about this card. We then play 2 copies of Infinitrack Road Roller. This card is an amazing 2-of in the deck because this card is such a good extender that if an Earth Machine monster is tributed or banished face up, you can special summon this card from your graveyard or your hand, wherever it was when that card was tributed, which is a really awesome effect. And an XZ monster that uses this monster as a material gains the following effect: that face up monsters that your opponent controls are changed to defense position and also lose 1,000 defense points, making it even easier to OTK your opponent. I love that about this card, and it's just an amazing card in this deck to help you just deal with your opponent's plays. And also, if it leaves the field after it special summons itself, it does banish itself, but there's an easy way around that, that when you attach it onto a monster as an XZ material and then detach it, it'll just go to the graveyard because it technically wasn't on the field, it was actually a material, which is just really good. This card is definitely a 2-of in the deck because it's so easy to get it to, and it's actually the main target I summon off of Brutal Dozer because it's so easy to get on your side of the field and then recycle over and over again. We then play for the trains. We're going to be playing 3 copies of Night Express Knight. Night Express Knight is a definite 3-of in the build, and this card helps out a lot because you can normal summon this card without Trueting, but its original attack becomes 0, which is totally fine because we're just trying to get this card as a normal summon on our side of the field so we can make a rank 10 like our copy of Gustav Max. We then play 3 copies of Super Express Train. Super Express Train is a definite 3-of in this build as well, because this card has the ability of all monsters that you control are Earth Machine monsters. You can special summon this card from your hand, and during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can actually target a machine in the graveyard and add it back to your hand, except a copy of this card, which is a great effect for this card to have just to get you more pieces into your hand for extensions and follow-ups during the next turn. For example, if you have, say, a copy of Harvester that you used earlier on in the turn, you can then just grab it out of the graveyard and then normal summon it again during the next turn to get you an additional search, which is just really cool. I love how these cards work together. We then play 3 copies of Heavy Freight Train Daracrane. Daracrane is definitely a 3-of in this deck, because if an Earth Machine monster is normal or special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand, but its original attack and defense becomes halved, which is not that big of a deal because you're basically just using this card as an extender to be able to follow out one of your other machine monsters. And if this card is detached from an XZ monster and sent to the grave to activate that monster's effect, you can actually target one card your opponent controls and destroy it, which is making it even easier to OTK your opponent to get monsters out of the way so we can go in for the life points. We then play a single copy of Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede. We only play a single copy of this card because we don't want too many normal summons in the deck, and this card helps out a lot in this build because if it's normal or special summon, you can target an Earth Machine monster in your graveyard and special summon in defense position but negate its effects. You can also target one of their face-up monster that you control, and then you have the ability that you can basically target this card and that opponent or that monster that you just brought back to your side of the field, and then it has the ability to copy one of the 2 levels, and both monsters become the level of the one that you pick. For example, if you have, say, a copy of Roadroller on the field, you can actually make it where that both of them become the same level, which is just really good. I love that about this card, and it makes it so easy to make XZ plays in this deck. And you do want to play one Earth Machine monster that has 1800 and 1000 defense, because it works really well with our copy of Revolving Switchyard. We then play 2 copies of Therion King Regulus. Therion King Regulus is just an awesome card to be able to play in the deck because it's a walking negate. It's very searchable in this deck off our copy of our XZ monster, which is just really good. I love that about this card, that it's searchable off our copy of Riverstormer. Riverstormer is just amazing to be able to search out this card. But this card is easy to put on your side of the field because it lets you target a machine monster in the grave and then special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, equip the targeted monster to this card. And also it's a walking negate, making this card a definite 2-of in the build just to be able to use as a negate in the deck so that you ensure that you're going to OTK. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with 2 copies of Extension. This card is really good as a 2-of in the deck, and I absolutely love this card on the camera because it just shines like crazy. But this card is amazing because your opponent cannot target machine XZ monsters that you control with card effects, and once per turn, you can target an Infinitrack XZ monster you control and special summon from your X deck one machine monster that's 2 ranks higher than the targeted monster by using that target as a material. Also, it locks you into Earth Machine monsters for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal, and it's really good to help you rank up from 5 to 7 and 7 to 9 in this deck, which is just really good to be able to make your cards. I absolutely love this card in the deck as a 2-up, and it's searchable off of Crab Crane, which is really nice. We then play 3 copies of Heavy Ford. This card is basically like the Rhoda for the deck, that when this card is activated, you can add an Infinitrack monster from your deck to your hand, and also once per turn, you can target a machine XZ monster you control, activate one of these effects. You either change its battle position or attach this card to it as a material, which is a really good effect. I love that about this card, and it's really nice as a 3-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Revolving Switchyard. Switchyard is really good in this deck as a 3-of because this card actually can search out your level 10 Earth Machine monsters, which is really good so you can make cards like Gustav Max and Juggernaut Lee. And this card is just really nice in this deck as a 3-of, and it helps out a lot in this build. We then play 3 copies of Urgent Schedule. Urgent Schedule is amazing because this card actually gets you 2 monsters on your side of the field. It's a lot better going second because it has the ability, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon out a level 4 or lower and a level 5 or higher Earth Machine monster from your deck in defense position, but you negate their effects, and you cannot declare attacks for the turn you activate this effect, except with machine monsters, which is again, not that big of a deal because it's going to make it very easy to be able to just put them on your side of the field and go in for game during the follow-up turn, which is just really nice. I love this card as a 3 on the build. You can even use this card defensively, which is really nice so your opponent doesn't OTK you. We then play 3 copies of Limiter Removal. I did say this was an OTK deck, so we did include Limiter Removal in this build. This card doubles the attack of all machine monsters that you have on the field. This card can be absolutely crazy. I've done upwards of 50,000 damage in this deck with this card, and it's just absolutely insane. It's super fun to be able to use in this deck, and it's just really good, especially when you draw into multiples of this card. You can make your monsters get huge to be able to OTK your opponent. You can easily do it 100,000 damage in this deck with this card, which is just really, really good. This card is so powerful, but it does destroy the monsters that were boosted by this card during the end phase, but you're usually not going to make it to the end phase. Once you activate this card, you're going all in, and you're probably going to win. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Gustav Max. Gustav Max has a super simple effect that you detach a material from this card and do 2,000 points of damage to your opponent, making it so they're even closer in range to OTK. We then play a single copy of Juggernaut Leap. Juggernaut Leap is really good as a 1-of in the deck because you can rank up your copy or overlay this card on top of your copy of Gustav Max, which is really amazing. And this card can go up to 6,000 attack points, which is just really cool. And this card is just an OTK machine. We then play a single copy of Phantom Fortress. You can make this card extremely easily in the deck, and this card is really good because you can once per turn detach a material from this card to activate one of these effects, banish a card that your opponent controls, banish a random card from your opponent's hand, banish a card from your opponent's graveyard, or banish the top card of your opponent's deck face up, whichever effect that you want to choose among those 4. We then play a single copy of Earth Slicer. Earth Slicer is really good as a 1-of in the build because this card has the ability, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can attach that monster to this card as a material, and you can only use the following effects card once per turn, that you can detach any number of materials from this card and then target that many cards on the field and destroy them, which is going to make it even easier to OTK the opponent because you're going to clear the way for your machines to go in for direct attacks. Any of this card's in the graveyard, you contribute a machine link monster to special summon this card in defense position, which all of your Infinitrack XZ monsters share that effect. We then play a single copy of Mountain Smasher. Mountain Smasher is just a good 1-of in this deck. Then when this card destroys an opponent's monster from a battle, you can attach this card as a material, and also you can detach a material from this card, and this card gains 1,000 attack points permanently while it's on the field, which is a really good effect. We then play 2 copies of River Stormer. River Stormer is really good in this deck as a 2-of because it has the ability to detach a material from this card and then take an Earth Machine monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the grave. And usually I'm searching a copy of Regulus off this card's ability so I can get a walking negate on the field, which is just really nice, depending on what your hand is. We then play a single copy of Cyber Dragon Nova and a single copy of Cyber Dragon Infinity. We can make these in the deck. They're a walking negate. You make your copy of Nova first, and then you make your copy of Infinity, basically the same way that you make your copy of your Juggernaut Leap and Gustav Max, which is really cool that you make Gustav Max first, and then you make Juggernaut Leap on top of it. The same way is done for your copy of Infinity. This card is amazing because it can attach a monster that's in attack position to this card once per turn. It goes up by 200 attack points for every material, and it's a walking negate, which is just really good. This deck does need a walking negate along with your copy of Regulus because it does help out quite a lot to be able to get them on your side of the field so you can ensure that you're going to OTK. We then play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is amazing to be able to board wipe the field because we play all of these different XZ monsters and makes it very easy to make Zeus. Play a single copy of Megaclops. Megaclops is very good in this deck, and you actually get all of its effects off in this deck. Usually for Megaclops, the only effect that people are worrying about is it's unaffected by monster effects except those of XZ monsters, and it cannot be destroyed by battle except with XZ monsters, which is the only effect that people usually use on this card. But in this deck, you can actually actually use its other effect, is you can target an XZ monster in your grave and one card that your opponent controls and special summon that monster from your graveyard, and if you do attach that opponent's monster to that monster as a material, but for the rest of the turn, any damage your opponent takes is halved, but it's really good because we're going to actually make a bunch of XZs in this deck that we can bring back to our side of the field to get really powerful effects like searches, boosts in attack points, or even pops on the field, which is really good, or sometimes even 2000 burns, which is just insane. We then play a single copy of Qliphort Genius. Qliphort Genius is great in this particular build, especially to combo with your copy of Urgent Schedule, because it has a great ability that this card is unaffected by spells or trap cards, which is just really good about this card. And once per turn, you can target a face-up card on each player's field except this card, and both these cards have their effects negated until the end of this turn, which is great to be able to work with your copy of Night Express Knight, and it also has the ability that if two monsters are special summoned at the same time to zones this card points to, you can add a level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand, which works with Urgent Schedule extremely nicely. We then play 2 copies of Goliath. Goliath is great in this deck because this card is the monster we're usually tributing to bring back our copy of our Earth Smasher or Mountain Smasher, or copy of River Stormer, or Earth Slicer, which is just really good. And this card is sent from the field to the graveyard. You can actually target a XZ monster you control and attach this card to a material, and it gives that monster a bonus effect that it cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is a great ability when it's attached as a material to an XZ monster. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played an Infinitrack train deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's extremely fun. You can OTK like crazy. It's amazing to go second with this deck, to be able to just make an absolutely crazy field. It can go first because of cards like Regulus and Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is just really cool, but it's an absolutely amazing deck that you guys should give a try. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.